please welcome Chip Burke. Kind of transformation, and yet remaining true to the authentic nature of the brand.
Yeah, so before I left, so I run big global brands before, and one of the reasons I joined was I remembered Levi's when I was a kid. And I actually had I don't have a real strong emotional connection to many brands, but Levi's was one. And I like to say everybody's got a Levi's story. And when Levi's was super iconic back in the 70s and 80s, I was a young second lieutenant in Europe, in West Germany at the time. And I went on a Eurail trip through the Nordics, and I was staying in youth hostels, and I did what every young guy does. When you stay in a youth hostel, you wash your clothes by hopping in the shower, soaking yourself down, rinsing yourself off, and then hanging the stuff up to dry in the bathroom. So I put my wallet on the windowsill and hopped in the shower, washed myself down, hung everything out to dry, went to bed, woke up in the morning and said, holy shit, I left my wallet in the bathroom. I ran into the bathroom, my wallet was there, and Levi's was gone. And Levi's had been stolen. So the true definition of an iconic brand,
They'd rather have your
they're worth
stealing.
stealing its way. And I just, we are the original, the authentic pair of blue jeans. Levi Strauss, the man himself, invented them 145 years ago. And part of reinventing the brand was paying homage to our past and our history and our authenticity and everything that the brand represented, and putting the brand back at the center of culture. We are at our very best when we're at the center of culture, while at the same time stepping forward with innovation. And so I think part of the turnaround story is we've done a great job putting the brand back at the center of culture. The 501s are still the 501s, and really paying homage to our history, while at the same time innovating around things like sustainability and stuff like that. So innovating as a retailer as well. You want to build a brand and a brand equity that's consistent globally, but that's also relevant locally. And so from a product standpoint, we run our product engine in a fairly centralized way to leverage our scale. We run supply chain in a fairly centralized way to leverage our scale. But then we execute in the local markets in locally relevant ways. So a good example is music festivals. We try to show up in a really big way. If you want to attract young consumers, being relevant to young consumers with things like customization and personalization at places like, here in the US, the big one is Coachella, but just about every country has their big music festival, big and small. So, tapping into the local grassroots and executing brilliantly on a local basis is a lot of what the local teams are doing. Executing with our wholesale customers, executing at retail, and with our franchise partners in a locally relevant way, but while still doing it under the halo of the big global brand, and so that we show up pretty consistently as a brand globally. So we had the old, mostly guys, as our real loyal, dedicated, hardcore fan, but we had a kind of a lost generation. I have two grown boys, they're now in their 30s. My son's is around, I think, right now, but one of my sons. But they, when they were teenagers, they did not wear Levi's. They were wearing all the other guys' jeans, but Levi's wasn't even in their consideration set. And unfortunately now we're attracting that young cohort. And I was just in our Times Square store. I got to put a plug in for our new flagship.
Oh yeah, you should talk about the Times Square store.
We've got a new store that we just opened in mid-November down on Times Square. It's the largest Levi's store in the world, 17,000 square feet. It's an amazing experience. You're here in New York, you should go check it out. I was there, and I was there yesterday. They didn't know I was coming, and just seeing the crowd that was in there, really international crowd of all ages, and that, it's pretty exciting. That's what it's all about. Personalization. It's turned out to be a big driver of traffic into our stores. They come into the store to buy that trucker jacket that you love, but then they're getting it embroidered for New York Times Square or whatever, and that creates an experience that becomes a memorable experience that they then attach to the brand.
The best one that I've seen, the role of a leader, CEO or anywhere else in an organization, has evolved in an environment in which you're taking stands on social issues. You're doing things outside the four corners of the brand because you know that they're important to your culture, your authenticity, to your customers, to your team. But it's a place that we're seeing more CEOs go, and certainly Ed talked about that very eloquently and courageously.
Levi Strauss, that this is a company that has historically not been afraid to take a stand on important social issues of our day. And I can rattle off a list of a couple of them real quick. We used to have factories in the South. We desegregated those factories 10 years before it was federal law. We were one of the first companies to provide for same-sex partner health care benefits. When the Boy Scouts banned gay troop leaders, we pulled all of our funding of the Boy Scouts. The company got 130 letters the following week. 97% of the people who wrote those letters were opposed to the company's stand. The company did not waver. After our most recent presidential election, a week later, the president put in place an immigration ban. Levi Strauss was founded by an immigrant, as were a lot of great companies in this country. And so we immediately took a stand against the immigration ban, mostly for human rights reasons. We stood up for DACA, and then just recently, and Ed and I have had a great conversation backstage, we recently took a stand against the gun epidemic in this country. And we don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to guns. You know, we don't sell guns, we don't make guns. But, you know, I believe it is one of the biggest social issues of our day. I've got a 10-year-old daughter, and she practices lockdown drills in school. And it is fundamentally a big issue. And the kids today, the teenagers and young adults today, this is the defining issue in their life. And so we've taken a stand, we've put our money where our mouth is, we're backing several organizations that are out to try to get federal legislation passed which will reduce the risk of gun violence in this country, and we're committed to that and not afraid to take a stand. So I do think, thank you very much. I do think my employees expect it of me, it's part of my job, but beyond that, I think CEOs of major corporations have a responsibility, and companies have a responsibility to give back. And if you do it in an authentic and real way, consumers are going to reward you for that.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing that. Well, that's it. That's another fabulous example of leading with conviction. I sort of buried the lead and did not announce what many of you already know, which is that Chip is going to be honored tonight by our foundation with the Visionary of the Year award. So Chip is the visionary, NRF Foundation visionary. So we're very pleased that you're here, honored that you would accept, and grateful you would be here and spend some time with us this afternoon. Thank you, Chip, for coming.